no teacher, no roadmap. And if you have trouble making decisions like me, you probably spent days just trying to figure out what to draw next instead of actually drawing. That, my friend, ends today. I'm going to share with you the scheduling system I use to get myself out of the rut, and I promise by the end of the video, you will walk away with a schedule you can apply immediately to get some consistent drawing time in. First off, you're going to have to block your time, aka write down everything you do and for how long. Yes, wait, don't run away screaming. I know it's annoying, and if you're the artsy type, you're going to think, dude, you're stealing my wind. It's really important to know how much time you have available, so bear with me because it's actually way easier than it sounds. This is my actual schedule from 2018. It's the real thing. It's the one I was using. It's, as you can see, a simple spreadsheet. You know, it's nothing fancy. Admittedly, it's also a bit messy because it went through some revisions. I was actually actively modifying this as I was going, but it worked for me. Also notice I already have drawing time scheduled in, but you won't. So to be fair, let's start blank. The goal is to write down literally everything. I mean, every single thing you do and for how long. So let's say, for the sake of the example, that I work from 9 to 12 every day of the week, and then maybe again from 1 to 5 p.m. I'm gonna fill in the blocks with, I don't know, something like green, like money. And then to make sure I know that green is work, I'm gonna copy paste the color and I'm gonna write work. So I'm gonna take these again, should be something like this. Then let's say from 12 to 1 is lunchtime. I'm gonna copy paste this and write lunch. You can also change the color here of the text to something that's a little more readable, obviously. And you do this until all of the day is full. So let's say the average day of an adult with a job and a family would be something like this. Got work, got meals, got commute, family time, and even chill time, gaming if you game, maybe watching a movie or something. So when this is done, we can move to step 2. Find blocks that are replaceable. You're gonna check the calendar and find all of the blocks of time that are at least 1 hour and you are willing to dedicate to drawing. This means that you're gonna have to give up some things or move them. What we want to find is at least 3 hours in this week spread into 3 days. So 1 hour each of the days. And that's the bare minimum if you want to see results. Ideally, you would be able to draw 5 days a week for roughly 2 to 3 hours per session, but I realize that's not how everyone's life is. In this example, I would say maybe the game chill time or this block here, or even the prep time before going to work in the morning. I'm gonna use these. So I'm gonna change the color and maybe use black and set my drawing time on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Copy it here and write draw. I'm gonna set it to white and reset this one. Once the drawing blocks are scheduled, we can then move to step 3, which is deciding what you're going to practice. This will strictly depend on how much time you actually have. So assuming you hit the bare minimum, or 1 hour for 3 days a week, my recommendation is to do perspective on day 1, maybe starting with boxes and moving up the ladder to more advanced construction and so on. This, for me, is really mandatory independently of what you want to draw, because perspective is really the fundamental of the fundamentals of drawing. Then maybe for day 2, if you're interested in figures, you could do gestures. Or if you don't care for people, you could do animal gestures. If you really just want to do environments, then maybe you can do shape design, because in any case, perspective day already covers construction. On day 3, again, if you are into characters, I highly recommend doing some kind of head drawing or whatever style you want. But once more, if you don't care about characters or even animals, like animal portraits and whatnot, then draw something from real life. Really, that would be the best investment of your time. This is the bare minimum if you want to get some consistent drawing time that makes you improve. Each of these sessions will start with at least a 10 minutes warm-up, ideally 20 if you have at least 2 hours, where you're going to do line control exercises and warm-ups from something like my warm-up video or the fundamentals course. I personally think that dexterity is a skill that needs to be worked on every single day, and if you really can't even pull a straight line, I would also recommend replacing the third day, whether that's head or something else, with just dexterity exercises. So For that day, you just practice the warm-ups for the whole session and try to have fun. It's not high commitment. If you do have more than 3 days, I would strongly recommend to still just practice these few things as a beginner, just alternating them. Perspective, gesture, head, perspective, gesture, head. Obviously, this does not cover everything you could possibly do. So as you get good, you can, if you want, do something like I was doing. So you do a different thing each day. So for example, you could do perspective, gestures, head drawing, figure construction, shape design, and then your own artwork. In this case, it would be on Saturday, so it's kind of like a bonus, let's say. Though bear in mind that this might not be the ideal schedule to progress fast enough, because it's kind of like working a single muscle group once a week. You know what I mean? If you go to the gym, it's not a good idea. The point here is to try to not cram different things in a single drawing session, because then you really won't improve much because you're diluting your focus. Now, if all this sounds like too much work already, I actually made this template available for download in the video description, so just drop your email in there and you'll get access to it. You can either download it as an Excel file or copy it from the original Google Sheets document, whichever is more convenient to you. If you prefer to print it out, I also added a version without colors, so you can use your own markers and color coding. But either way, if you get stuck and you still find it hard to know what to schedule, I actually included the artwork self-critiquing cheat sheet that I had made some time ago, and you can use it to map your own weaknesses and figure out what to add to the schedule. And once you have the schedule sorted out, all that's left is really just deciding what exactly to put in each single session, which is step 4, because we have the broad topics, but what do we do exactly each session? A few examples. For perspective, you could start with the fundamentals matrix, for example, the cube rotation one. For gesture, you might pivot off of my gesture video. And for head drawing, maybe you can apply the blocky head video or even the Loomis one, or I would say, well, just go wild and try to copy 100 heads from Pinterest in the style that you like. I've done this before, it's not too bad. But in general, also for anything else, you grab a reference and you study it the way I explain in my 10x video. The point is simple. You decide this beforehand and not when you sit down to draw. As I said, I don't like making decisions, so I just do it once and then I simply have to execute. In fact, if I have to watch a video, I actually log it in my schedule. And then you test and adjust, because this is somewhat of a blind guess if you're just starting out. So you do this for about 2 weeks, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. You take some notes while you draw, and then at the end of the 2 weeks, you reflect back and see if you struggled with something, what it was, if something was too easy, and adjust the level of difficulty accordingly. Because now you have a schedule that kind of keeps you on track. So if something is too hard, you pull back. If it's too easy, you amp up the level. So if you see that doing box rotations is too hard, then you copy paste them down here and replace with something like 3D planes, which is a little easier than that. And I hear you say, how long should I do this for? Well, obviously, you don't have to do this forever. What I recommend is scheduling about 8 weeks, and every 2 weeks or so, you attempt something slightly harder that you keep only if you can manage. Then, after like 2 months or so, you take a break, draw some stuff you like, use the cheat sheet to spot your new weaknesses, and then make a new schedule. And that's really it. I know it sounds like a lot if you see it like this, but once it's set up, you just have to sit down and draw. And you stop wasting drawing time just deciding what to do. So go ahead and try it. Because in my own experience, my mentorship students who worked on at least those 3 fundamentals consistently, weekly, improved much faster than those who are grinding the same thing every single day. But that's all I had to say. If you found the video useful, leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.